Welcome to Matt Bajerski YouTube channel. Welcome everybody. It's a great day today to talk about a fascinating subject. And a beautiful soul sent me a message saying that why is it when she walks past churches and graveyards, she always feels connected to spirit trapped in between two worlds. Great that she acknowledges that and understands that, not demons and ghosts and spirit trapped in between two worlds. Fascinating subject. And what she mentioned was why is it that some of us are seem to be more attracted to these than others, than other people? And it's a great question. You know, why is it that only a few people actually get attachments with these so-called ghosts and spirits or demons, whatever you want to call them? Well, it's a great subject, and I think maybe should we tackle it? Should we let's see where we go with this. Let's talk about this, shall we? I had a great meditation this morning, wearing my Moldavite trio. Still, gotta say, the best crystal that I've ever worn in my world. Still the most powerful when I'm doing any kind of psychic healing and meditation work. It's fabulous. So I feel really good this morning. Very balanced. Obviously, when you work with crystals, you feel more balanced once the purging and venting of whatever is within you, the blocks, the issues, the traumas, once they're cleared, then you're back to more of a balanced state. So I feel very balanced this morning, and I would like to tackle this subject in great detail. So cheers everybody, welcome to the Pure Energy Healing Academy. Welcome to this beautiful, safe haven where you can come and sit with me. And what you're looking at behind you is a beautiful carving from Palo, some silk flowers that I bought from El Gato in Spain. Oil to the left of me. So the oils are my oils that I sell on my website. And the two pictures there are my two most beautiful favourite souls in the world. So, but they're not alive. Well, they are in my world. You can see people as not being alive, or you can see them as being alive. I say that they're more alive now than they ever have been, and they help me and many other people more than they would have done if they were in this world. So I say we're dead and they're alive. Most of us are sleepwalking. So let's drink some of my parasite cleanse. Lovely. Lovely. If I cough a lot, it's just because I'm cleansing and clearing. I've been on a parasite cleanse now for about 2.5, 3 weeks, I think. I'm not counting anymore. I'm not counting. But every time I cough, it's because it's wanting to come out and clear, which is always a good sign. So where do we begin? When I was a young boy, before I could even remember how old I was, I used to feel that there was something at the foot of my bed or underneath my bed. There were many, and sometimes in the wardrobe, actually, funnily enough. I used to open the wardrobe just to confront it. That sometimes was during the day. Was there scary movies? I don't remember scary movies. No, I don't really. We didn't really have scary movies, so that wasn't. Oh, you must have watched scary movies. Not when I was 8 years old. No. Did people tell scary stories? No. So why is it that I believed that there was somebody in the house and somebody that used to come to me nearly every night? And I'm not ashamed to say it. From 8 to 12 years old, it could have been earlier. Could have been a lot earlier. Yeah, probably a lot earlier. I'm saying 8 as as a point of reference, but yeah, I can't even say I could have been 2 or 3 years old. Who would have known? And I'm going to say it again, I'm not ashamed to say, but I used to run for refuge, and the only refuge I had was my mum. And my dad wasn't a nice man. He was abusive. I couldn't go to him for protection or help because all my dad ever did was get angry and beat us physically and emotionally. My mum was the shining star. She was the hub of the family. She was, yeah, she's that lady there. That's my mum. And my mum to this day is extremely powerful in so many ways. I used to run into my mum and dad's bedroom and run around the bed and jump into my mum's bed till the day she died, really, of cancer of the stomach, because of the suffering that she endured, absorbed from my dad's abuse, which I believe was so. My sister once said my mum fell down the stairs, and she believed that that was a shock energy that started it, and that's very possible. But I think the finishing touches of my mum's lifespan here was definitely caused by a man's anger and frustration and lack of being able to heal himself from past trauma of the war, of course. And so there's no blame or guilt, or it is what it is. And we all suffer abuse, and we all abuse in some way, whether we know it or not. And sometimes we don't mean to, but we do. So it's part of life. I learned to forgive my dad a long time ago, just one of those things. And it's life. And my mum chose to be here and to live with him. It was her choice to stay with him. She could have left at any time, but she didn't. So it is what it is. It's all as it should be. I don't live with regret. I don't hold on to regret. I don't hold on to grief. I just know that my mum plays a bigger role now that she's around me right here, right now. If I call her, if it's possible, if she can come, great. If it isn't, she's busy. But I do call her sometimes, and especially when I do the healing work, or when I did the healing work, she was a prominent part of my life, of the 20 years of healing. And many clients would tell me this and say that she came to them in their sleep after a healing session, or at the time of the healing session. This is all beautiful, because what I'm talking about is that my mum is indeed in the spirit world and has a great and amazing healing power. But when we look at a spirit trapped in between two worlds, it's not the same frequency or energy that they vibrate at. In fact, they vibrate at the frequency of what they suffered in this life if they haven't moved into the spirit world. And a lot of the time, spirit trapped in between two worlds, ghosts or demons, whatever you want to call them, these are all just names. But I see them as souls that were on this planet in a spacesuit, and their life path created them to either be trapped in between two worlds, and an even greater, heavier energy is spirit in denial. So you get both. You get a double whammy. You get heavy, and then you get intense heavy. So feeling this spirit at a young age, nearly every night, I would sleep with my mum, petrified, and of course she had no idea of what was going on, because she was Catholic and she was raised a Catholic with nuns. And I don't think that was ever mentioned to her. So all she could do is hold me, and then I'd fall asleep and wake up and get on with my life. But there were many times that I often have told you a few times that when I woke up at around 2 o'clock, it could have been 3, it could have been 12, but I normally woke up at a certain. I just remember waking up. Okay, it's here, and sometimes it would push my chest in, so it was like I was being pushed into the bed. I guess it's a little bit like Nightmare on Elm Street, where she's in the bed and she's being pushed down. It's the same sort of feeling, but Hollywood like to dramatize everything. But that feeling of spirit coming to me, getting on me, becoming part of me at that moment, you can feel it. Your energy is being contaminated with spirit trapped in between two worlds and spirit in denial. So you can feel that. And it's often a feeling of, there's many different feelings as I not only experienced myself, but through my clients and the years that we tried to help people clear spirit in their home and children and teenagers. And I'll come to that later. But yeah, there is a state of, and a lot of people might not understand this, because paralysis, it can be when you're sleeping and you can't move and somebody's coming to attack you. Sometimes spirit trapped in between two worlds can enter into your energetic field, and as you're dreaming you can feel that you can't move. If you wake up and you're in this paralysis state, it's normally because spirit trapped in between two worlds, spirit in denial, is within your energy and in your energy, and there's something about their energy that can cause this. I've no idea why, and I'm sure some people who have got greater experience than I have might be able to give you an explanation that makes sense. But to me, all I know is that when you are attacked by a certain entity, which is spirit trapped in between two worlds, depending on their state of energetic frequency, sometimes it can be more heavier than others. Somebody asked me, if a spirit is trapped in between two worlds, can they live in your home happily? And I say again, it depends on how the passing of that soul went through, what their passing was, whether it was murder, whether it was rape, whether it was poisoning, whether it was an accident, whether it was just moving from this body out of this body because of certain reasons, and then they decided to choose not to go home because they're frightened of what the consequences could have been because of their programming of religion. So religion says if you're not, when you die, you're going to be judged, so you're either going to hell or heaven. So there's a lot of fear in people if they might have done something that they wish they hadn't done, like they could have been in the war and killed somebody, and then they held on to that, because it doesn't matter whether a government tells you to kill and it's legal to kill, you've still killed somebody, and regardless of what government said, at the end of the moment of you moving into that light, if you've taken another life, then you'll feel that guilt, and whether you'll decide to move into the home world. I'm not going to say the light, because it's not a light, it's the frequency that we transmit at and we vibrate into. So you don't vibrate into that line and then you stay in a different frequency, and that frequency, I believe, is spirit trapped in between two worlds, or many people call ghosts. I wish I could take away ghosts and all that and change it, but we can't. We just stick with this. So there are certain things. Yeah, music's just gone off, or maybe it hasn't. So why is it that some people are more connected, or they feel like they're more attacked by this kind of spirit trapped in between two worlds? Well, there are a number of reasons why this happens, quite a lot of reasons actually, and what I've learned over these years, there's more than you can imagine. I could probably talk about this for a week, but I'm going to try and break it down as best as I can. There's something about the changing of our body system at a certain point where we move from a child to a teenager, and it's an explosion of energy, and that energy changes our frequency. And any kind of frequency change in a dramatic way, it's a bit like walking to the top of the mountain and screaming as loud as you can. Somebody's going to hear, people are going to hear. So imagine that there is spirit trapped in between two worlds, and you vibrate at a different frequency. Spirit can pick up on that, which you're trapped in between two worlds, and can come into your energetic field and feed from it. So they actually feed from energy. So when you're giving out a frequency which is different from a balanced frequency, when you're balanced, you don't feed spirit trapped in between two worlds. You just vibrate at your own frequency, and your chi, your prana, your life force is yours, and you're secure, and because you're balanced. Because when you're balanced, nothing can enter into that and hurt it. It's incredible, really. So, and I'll back that up by saying that all my clients who have had issues with this always had personal issues, always had traumatic issues. There were always something that happened in their life to create this unbalance and this frequency that vibrates out of our protection frequency into a frequency that spirit trapped in between two worlds can pick up on. So yes, there are times when we transform from a child into an adult, and then this frequency that now is turning into an adult, and that sometimes is a moment that can bring in a spirit into the house from wherever the spirit. So spirit trapped in between two worlds in a house, it's in a frequency, an area, and it can move depending. So it gets really complicated now when we start talking about how far can a spirit move from place to place. Imagine that there is another world. So you've got your spirit world, which in a thought and an instant you can be anywhere. You've got spirit trapped in between two worlds, but trapped doesn't mean trapped in a place. It can actually move. It can go wherever, and it can attach to whoever. So it's like another world within a world. So but if you just imagine that imagine your spirit trapped in between two worlds, right? You will be as you are now. You'll think that you have a body. You'll think that you are who you are. You'll think that you're getting on with your life, and you won't really have thoughts and feelings of anything other than that moment. And you can go to again, I'm diversing here, but you normally want to stay where you live. You normally want to go here or go there, but it's hard to put into words because it's not the physical, and it's not like getting onto a bus and paying the bus driver and he's like, it's not like that. It's a different frequency, it's a different energy. But what I'm trying to say is that spirit trapped in between two worlds, when I say they're in denial, it means that they don't really understand where they are and what they're doing. So they're just doing what they're doing, and they're looking for energy, they're looking for frequency. So as you would work and get paid, their only thought and feeling is energy. They're looking for energy. It's important that they need energy, and they're looking for energy that gives them memory of what they're used to. So I'll give you a great example. This is where it gets so complicated, and this is why some people just lose it. They just don't understand, and it's too much. But if you take your time and think about this, you'll see it all makes sense. So there are many occasions where I used to ask clients, why did you drink? And a lot of the times that they started drinking, meaning that they became very heavy alcoholics. And the reason why most of the time they drunk is because of a shock energy, because something happened to them in their life that explodes every now and again. And then they go to a bar or they're at home and they start drinking. And then the drinking just kind of continues and continues. Now, imagine if you're spirit trapped in between two worlds, and when you were of this world, you were an alcoholic and you died of, say, liver poisoning or kidney failure or something like that because you drunk too much. Right? That same feeling when you move out of the spacesuit and you are trapped in between two worlds, they look for the same feelings. So if they know somebody's drinking, they will attach to somebody who's drinking. So the person who's drinking now just can't stop drinking because there's an influence of spirit trapped in between two worlds who's feeding from that very memory or that very energy of what somebody's drinking. So the more they drink, the more they feel that energy that they used to have. This is just an example. There are other examples of some people who did terrible things, maybe abused or beat somebody up, and they were bullies. When they moved into the trapped space, the veil between both worlds, that this world and the spirit world, they're looking for that same energy because that is their energy, that's their thought, that's their behavior, that's their memory. So if somebody's abusing or beating or bullying, they will attach to that, and then that person who's of this world sometimes goes overboard, and the reason why is because the spirit trapped in between two worlds is actually provoking them, making them do more, and influencing them in many ways. Not all the time, but many times. And that's why people say, I don't know what came over me. I don't know why I did that. I just did it. And sometimes there is, and that is no excuse for anybody to abuse or hurt or anything. But there, you see, we don't talk about these things. And because we don't talk about them, it's never understood. And that's why crime goes that you're thrown in prison and nobody understands and nobody can make sense of it, and so it carries on and continues. If you look at the past history of 200 years, many people were locked up for being crazy. Well, they weren't crazy. They just had spirit trapped in between two worlds attached to them. So they influence them. They can sometimes make them say things and talk through them. And voices is another one. They're always hearing voices. That's a typical example of there's an attachment for whatever reason. So other reasons, you can be doing yoga or Pilates, or you could be doing meditation, and all of a sudden you can vibrate at a certain frequency. So some people call it, the Satnam, who's trying to awaken their Kundalini, or I say you're just trying to awaken a certain power point in the body that holds a very powerful frequency. Again, you can find that you're on top of a mountain, then screaming at everybody, saying, "Hey, I'm open, I'm awakened," and that's when the spirit trapped in between two worlds, as well as the spirit world, also recognizes this as well and tries to counteract and help. So I found that fascinating as well, because when I was healing one particular girl, beautiful girl, blonde hair, beautiful blue eyes, but she was just a wreck, and she was about 19, she was 19, definitely 19. Sophia, I think she was called. Beautiful girl. She was lying down, and as I was giving the healing session, because she'd gone to learn how to, I think she went to she wasn't doing well with her father, had caused her a lot of abuse. So she went to India for 3 weeks and then came back. And of course she had this attachment, so I was giving a healing session. At the same moment of giving a healing session, spirit from the spirit world came through and was healing and clearing the entity that was attached to her, which within an hour and 20 minutes it was gone. I've never had a struggle with clearing attachments or spirit trapped in between two worlds. And I tell you why, because the final resort of a healing session, normally a healing session will clear it, because if you're blasting this energy, it's then giving the energy that's keeping, that then builds the chi prana strong, so that any entity or any spirit trapped in between two worlds can't vibrate at that frequency. So it's off, it's gone. But if there is a struggle, I just sit them down and sage them. And sage, it's just gone. Spirit trapped in between just disappears, it's gone. So yeah, I have hundreds and hundreds of these, I call them cases, I call them clients or friends who went through just this struggle. So yeah, a lot of the times in pubs, in bars, where people frequent drinking and drinking heavily, spirit trapped in between two worlds can be in those bars, places where people cause great harm and suffering that is happening around the world, which is connected to Lucifer, connected to this desire to, as they did through the century, to kill, whether it's animals or whoever. In that moment, you can get spirit trapped in between two worlds who did terrible things and will join in that energy and make it even heightened of darkness, and it's almost like they go crazy. And I've often heard many people who have come to me and shared stories about participating in satanic rituals that they were forced to do and wanted to get out of it, and said it becomes like it's kind of like an evil euphoria. They go crazy and do crazy things. And I do believe that spirit is influencing at the same time, which is trapped between two worlds, the worst of the worst of spirit in denial, coming and feeding and creating it and making it more, crazy. So these are just some things, your spiritual awakening can affect that you will become a magnet for these spirit trapped. You can be at certain places and again, if you're playing silly, if you're doing silly things, if you're not balanced, if you're working with this is why a lot of people say tarot cards, and look, if you're not in a balanced place and you're in a state of not health and well-being, there is a chance that you can have spirit attached to you. I've had it 2 or 3 times, and they want to come and connect, and sometimes they want to influence you, sometimes they want you to do something. In my circumstance, first time, they wanted me to share a message with a member of family that I refused to. I acknowledged that it was around me and within me, and I was lucky enough to have people to help clear it away, and it was gone. So it was a great experience. I didn't want to experience it again. I didn't want to do this work again, but I realize now it was very important for me to share this when people come to me and say that they're hearing voices or their children are seeing spirit and da-da-da-da. It's okay. It's fine. It's very normal. It's rare, but it's normal in my world, and there's nothing to worry about. There's nothing wrong with you. You're not a strange child. You're not a strange girl. You're not a strange person. It's just circumstances, and that nobody talks about. But it's my world. Welcome to my world. This is normal, and we can clear it, and it's easy to clear. So yeah, I had one girl who used to come to me, beautiful girl, and she heard voices all the time, and that was because she was doing yoga, and she doing the Kundalini awakening. And again, that's so easy for spirit trapped in between two worlds can pick up on that, because again, she's at the top of the mountain without even realizing, calling out, saying, hey, I'm open. If you're doing any kind of when I was a little kid, somebody invited me around to their house, and there was about 6 of us, and we started doing the Ouija board. And as soon as we started, how old was I? My mum had passed, so I must have been 13, 14, something like that. And out of the whole of 6 of us, one of them killed themselves. One lad killed himself not long after. And I got up and ran out. I just went. I knew there was something extremely bad. And while the board game, it's not a board game, it's a conjuring of energy, and you're changing your frequency, and you are calling for dark energy without even realizing. Sometimes you are manipulating energy, which is wrong. So when you work with tarot cards, when you work with crystals, when you are of good energy, and when you are of the light, meaning that, because if I ever do a ritual, I always tell people who are there, wherever I am in the world, this is all light. There is no darkness involved. This is all light. So a ritual is misinterpreted a lot of the times. It's been hijacked. And when you hear the word ritual, you think of sacrifice. Well, no. I've done many flower rituals, blessings. Some beautiful things have happened where we have cleared actually dark entities, cleared them and got rid of them completely, and cleared deep traumas and things that I had one lady who was, I think she was 83, and she got up and her life changed thereafter. It was like incredible. It was like she'd lived with suffering so long, and in that beautiful light of love and healing, we cleared whatever the trauma was. So I my clients can speak for themselves. So yeah, going back to the Ouija board, it's like, no, this wasn't right. There's something very, very wrong. And again, the Ouija board is a pulling of an energy, because your energy gets scared. You get petrified. When you vibrate a petrified energy, that feeds spirit in between two worlds, because that frequency is a frequency that like comes together with fear. It has the same frequency almost. So it's feeding. When we say feeding, imagine you're depleted, right? Because we get all the words wrong, we say it all wrong, and then it conjures up pictures of demonic dark stuff. And when in actual fact, it's more about feeding, in the sense of, if you're not feeling good, you're going to find somebody to make you feel better. If you find somebody that makes you feel better because they're full of energy, and you're sat with them, and then you get up and leave, and their energy is weak and knackered because you've sucked all their energy, it's the same thing. It's exactly the same thing. It's just you're in a spacesuit. That's all. But when your spacesuit is gone, it's still that somebody wants to feed from that frequency that you vibrate from. So instead of a spirit trapped in between two worlds vibrating from love and harmony per se, they're waiting for a negative energy that vibrates because it feeds their energy, right? So, oh God, there's so many reasons why spirit trapped in between two worlds can come into your energy. So many. Yeah, I've got to be careful now what I say, but let's say the modern medical industry create certain substances that open you up to this, and sometimes it can play a huge part of why people say, oh, he's medicated up and he's done some crazy things. My understanding, and I know this to be true, that when you are out of balance and you are in this place of medication, you vibrate at a frequency which is easy for spirit trapped in between two worlds that can come and influence and then can cause great harm, and people do crazy things. And look, you just need to look at if you just need to study and see anybody who's gone and taken lots of people's lives, when you go and ask them and you find out what they did, like many people do on Netflix and stuff, or why did they murder so many people? Normally because they were influenced by medication, and some kind of spirit trapped in between two worlds can also cause that influence. Because again, if you are vibrating at this frequency and you're going crazy, like you're at a ritual and you're doing sacrifices, this is feeding the spirit trapped in between two worlds. And you know what? Ultimately, all of this is about the reason why I got so upset about the Joe Rogan show and two lads saying what they, and I shouldn't have got upset, but if we could have talked, if somebody could have gone on there and said, look, we could change the world by understanding that there is a world within a world called spirit trapped or spirit in denial. If we can understand that and we can learn how to clear them and help them move home, or clear them out of homes and clear them out of this world, if we can get rid of that, then there will be less suffering, there'll be less people needing to take medication, there'll be less people doing crazy things. There is so many reasons why people do things like drive too fast and kill people, drink too much and abuse people, smoke too much, drink too much, because again, it's something that spirit trapped in between two worlds, if there's too much of that energy, it has an influence on our life as well. And the spirit world knows this too, and I'll tell you why they know it. Because in my working time, in just one person's working time over these past 2 decades, 12 years precisely where I worked full time, they brought me to places where spirit was trapped in between two worlds to help them move on, to help them either vibrate into the spirit world or whatever. I don't know what where they've gone, if it is that they've vibrated back into the spirit world or not. I don't know, because I have this feeling that it's not just the spirit world we come from. I have this feeling that there are many other worlds on this planet, and our consciousness comes from different parts of this universe, this cosmos. So it goes deeper than me just saying, I think I know everything. I don't know everything. I know nothing. And the more I learn, the more I realize I know nothing. So, I don't hold on to everything as if it's gospel. I hold on to things to what I understand at that moment. And then if things change because I see, oh, wow, I didn't see that. I didn't realize that. Now it's making more sense. And I'm open to that. So what I'm discussing with you may be not all perfect. And you might say, actually, I experienced this. So I go, oh my God, that makes sense. So now it's coming together and there's a bigger picture. So don't ever look at me as if I know what I'm talking about fully. Look at me, listen to me and say, okay, I'm not sure about that, but I went through this and that kind of sounds right. And you make your own decision as you go on your path. But you know what? The ultimate thing about all of this is that if we can, going back to my 12 full years of a full-time healer from 7 days a week, traveling the world, why is it that Spirit brought me to places where it was obvious that they wanted me to help Spirit trapped in between two worlds? Why is that? Why am I influenced to go on the Camino de Santiago de Compostela? I'm walking. I don't want to even. Why am I going? No idea why I'm going, but I'm packing my bag as I'm going. I end up missing the place where I should have gone on the bus and gone further. And then I walked for a certain distance. I didn't go to bed that night because people were snoring in this room. I got out of there. I walked in the middle of the night, and at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, I ended up in a farm and talking to this little girl who was holding a doll without a head, a beautiful little girl, and I helped her move back into the spirit world where her twin sister was waiting for her. And then I realized what I'd done. I was like, I couldn't understand why I'm walking in the middle of the night in the freezing cold. Why do I do these things to myself? I'm saying, and then it all makes sense. They brought me there. Not that I was happy about it. Oh, I was happy about it. I'm glad I did the work. But you know what? You could have done it another way. No, they couldn't have done it another way. That was the only way they could have done it. And it was actually perfect. And so many times that there could have been an incident where somebody was about to be killed, or something really bad was going to happen because somebody was going to kill themselves. Spirit brings me to them points as well. So these are all important, because if you kill somebody, the chances are that person's going to be trapped in between two worlds. If you're going to kill yourself, there's a strong chance that you're going to be trapped in between two worlds. So it all makes sense. It's all related to one another. But the whole point about it is, and why is it I used to get mad when I was an auctioneer, when I used to watch Most Haunted? Why did I get mad? I should have loved it. I got mad because I was always saying to myself, why isn't Derek Okora and Sam sending these people to the light? Why aren't they? Why are they just leaving? And I asked Derek Okora that when he was down here. I said to him, Derek, I don't mind working with you. I'll do the new Most Haunted with you, but I don't want to be in the picture. I don't want to be photographed or videoed. But what I'll do is I'll help Spirit move into the light. And I asked him, why didn't you ever do that? And there weren't an answer. I didn't really get an answer. So no problem. Everybody each their own. But I just knew that I don't want to be trapped in between two worlds. I know what it must feel like. I'm like observing it and seeing it in the room. They've no clue. So a lot of the times what I used to do is try and wake them up to the fact that they're trapped in between two worlds. Sometimes I got it brilliantly and it happened, and sometimes I didn't, and I had to use sage. But most people don't know how to sage. Most people haven't a clue because they just read books and think this is how you do it. No, it's so you learn through experience. So medication, there's also certain types of hallucinogenic, which is Mother Nature stuff, and that can actually bring forward, if you're not in the company of a true shaman who understands spirit, who always protects the circle before they start. If they don't, they're not a true shaman. I've worked with shamans and they spend at least an hour before they get the room right. Like I used to do when I was doing rituals. You have to get the room right. So no entity or spirit trapped in between two worlds or or spirit in denial can come into that energy. So it's vital that when you do these things, you get the room at a good energy. When you're doing that kind of work with ayahuasca, with any kind of hallucinogenic, which is a natural form of mushrooms or, whatever it may be. That's why I don't do it. I don't do it, and I don't tell people to do it, because too many fake shamans, too many people have jumped on board because of this. And of course they are going to do. If you're in Peru, then everybody goes there for shamans. Right? They want the indigenous people who are the shamans to take them through this ayahuasca ritual. So they become shamans. They just put a cloak on and shake something. They actually haven't got a clue what they're doing. So that's why I say, especially here, if you've got fakers all the time in Marbella, it's filled with them, and a lot of the times you can be influenced if the room isn't correct. So you need, that's why I don't take it, I won't do it, because you've got to be strong, you've got to be healthy, you've got to be, and most people go because they're lost. They don't know what, or I've got to a level of my spiritual awareness and I need to now break free and go and be even more powerful. I've heard that before. That's no, I'm sorry, I don't buy into that. So it's not for me to judge, but I'm saying I don't ever say take it. I know lots of people do, and they say they've got great experiences. Unfortunately for me, I get most of the people who've had the bad experiences. That's my trouble. My daughter's saying this and that. I'm saying, look, China, I see a different world than what you see. I hear about all the bad things because they come to me because something bad happened. Only the other day in Marbella, somebody was found in the sea with no body parts. The head was off and the arms were on the legs. I see things. I know people who get raped here, and lots of people who have gone through terrible things, shootings. I see it, and I'm in that because people come for help. So it's different when I talk about my experience to you. You probably never heard of any of these things. And so I said to you, I had to sit by a bedside of a beautiful woman, Maria, who was in bed for 2 weeks after she took ayahuasca down the road. She was a mess. And then I spoke to the nurse, one of the nurses. In fact, I spoke to 3 nurses. I wanted one nurse to come on the show, but she wouldn't because she couldn't because of her job. But she had witnessed absolutely tons of people at the point where it went mad for ayahuasca down here. They were going mad. They were doing it everywhere, and I was panicking. And she was saying it was rife of people coming into the hospital, going through, trying to help them through the trauma, what they've gone through. And hospitals can't help. So I was getting these people who were traumatized by ayahuasca saying, oh my God, what's wrong with me? And I had to spend 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, 4 months to try and calm them and clear what they'd been through. And it's a traumatic event if it takes a turn for the worst, if you don't have somebody who's there to help you. But the whole point about it is that any good shaman knows if you're ready. And if you're there for the wrong reasons, they'll send you away. And that's a good shaman. And there's not many of them. Because this is what's important to a lot. So these are just a few things that I share with you that are through experience and what I've learned. And I am often known as somebody who is very negative to this side of things. And why don't you show your positivity? Well, I'd rather err on the side of caution than tell everybody to go and do ayahuasca. I would say if you are going to do it, then do it with the indigenous shaman who is at least 50, 60 years old and who has practiced it from a child, who is used to this. And also the shaman that is not there. Oh, no, you need to take responsibility as well. If you're doing it because you're upset, because you're traumatized, because you're lost, because you want to find your path, because you want to know who you are, you want to feel better, they're all the wrong reasons. That's not why you do it. Shamans in that indigenous area didn't do that for that. They do it for other reasons. So yeah, there's only a very few people that I would say, okay, maybe this person is ready for ayahuasca, and they're doing it for the right reasons. Somebody asked me what the right reasons were, and I couldn't really come up with it, because everybody who's gone for what they thought were the right reasons, many of them had terrible experiences, and were even worse and more lost. Even though nothing bad happened to them, it just didn't work. So I still don't understand it to its full degree. I don't understand how it works and why and what it's used for its perfect reason. I still don't get it to this day, because I see so many people who are affected in so many ways. That's why I don't do it. And I said to you, the only reason I'd do it is if somebody very close to me said, I really want to do it, please, I sort of say, or I'd be there to support them, knowing that this might not be a brilliant thing, but if somebody wants to do it, you can't stop somebody from doing something. That's their journey. So, but I would, if asked, I would say, no, please try and meditate. Do you know, I know I've gone off on one here, and I know I'm not talking about what I'm talking about, but you know what? If you meditate, and you meditate in the morning or afternoon at night, and you keep that meditation up for half an hour, 20 minutes, right? And you keep doing that meditation with nice music and some nice oils and some incense around you, right? Which isn't going to cause massive issues at all. If you've got a bad chest, you might cough a bit or stuff, but oils, incense, normally, and just sit with some crystals. I tell you what, guys, when you reach nirvana, when you reach a high energy frequency and you feel spirit, because spirit trapped in between two worlds can't come into that energy. Never comes into that energy when you're meditating that way, because it's a frequency that is you, and you're building your frequency, you're building, your spirit is getting stronger, your flame is getting stronger and stronger and stronger. And it's like, oh my God, you not only feel the healing, your body starts to heal all the issues and pains like it did me. I've got no more irritable bowel syndrome anymore. I have no back chronic issues anymore. Why? Because I sat and meditated, and my body then started to heal. The little fish started to clear everything away, because I'm not in my mind anymore. I'm out of my mind, and I'm just allowing my body to be. At the time where you're millions of fish that eating away all the negativity and all the fear and all of the trauma, eating away all of that, because normally your little fish are up here trying to eat away at all the nonsense that you keep creating. Clear that, the fish say, okay, we can clear the rest of the body now. It's just a metaphor for energy and your beautiful life force and your beautiful workforce that want to clean your body all the time, but you're too busy up here, and they're trying to clear something that can't ever be cleared, because there's never a full stop in here. It just continues. So learn to clear your mind, learn to meditate, and learn to build up your energy, because once you've done that, there is no negative energy that can come into that field, because it repels. It's like two magnets opposite. They'll never come together, because it can't come into that energetic field. So it only comes, spirit trapped in between two worlds, only comes into your energy field when you're negative, where pain and suffering and fear comes. That's why the black screen creates fear every day, because they know that this dark energy, which is spirit trapped in between two worlds, dark, heavy, dirty, can come into your energy field and cause chaos. They know this. These people know all of this, because this is ancient knowledge which will never be told to you, but they know this, and that's how they create it. You create more fear, more worry. You create the energy that vibrates and vibrates at a frequency that feeds this spirit trapped in between two worlds. I hope this serves you well. Thank you so much for supporting markbajerski.com. Please check your YouTube subscriptions, because people are now saying, oh yeah, I've been unsubscribed. Of course you are. They're doing it deliberately. Anybody who wants to share something that's different from mainstream, they're going to stop us. So please just check your subscriptions. subscribe, and then apparently a bell comes or a video will come up, my next video. So you might learn something from the next video or all the other videos I've done, or you might not. You might not vibrate at me, but that's okay. The next video is about parasite cleanse and how important it is to clear your body of parasites, why and what's the difference between my parasite cleanse, which is 1 bag, and my intensive parasite cleanse. I'm going to do a video on that because many people have been asking. And that's it. I'm wishing you all a lovely day. Thank you. Been a brilliant week for Bajerski.com. You've bought some amazing crystals, and I hope you meditate with them and they serve you well and you become stronger every day. Again, these have been the bestseller this week. People are loving the Moldavite trios. So thank you so much. I'm glad you appreciate my work and what I've done in these 20 years that I can share with you, and now you can work with them. Take care. Have a lovely day. I mean that. Have a lovely day, guys. I hope this video didn't hurt you too much or make you frightened. I hope it made you realize that the most important thing in the world is you vibrating at the beautiful crystal that you are. That is the only thing that's important. Let food be thy medicine. Let medicine be thy food. And let your thoughts be positive and be strong and clear the negative. And you will not be let down and you will never be hurt. Take care.